G'day you good motherfuckers, the Buttsman here, and go and grab this Peace in the Middle East t-shirt. Immediately they're almost sold out. Ladies and gents, in this video we're going to talk about something that we all face at one point or another in our lives, and that is regret. There are many reasons that we can't make certain decisions in our lives until we are adults. There are also many reasons that our parents are in charge of, well, what we do as children. They're usually the ones with the prefrontal cortex that is completely formed, allowing them to make decisions that aren't as risky as someone, or at least with more knowledge, as someone who is a lot younger. And that's why usually parents make better decisions for their children than children for themselves. The prefrontal cortex, as I'm talking about there, controls attention and also controls impulses. And as teenagers, we're about 10 years away from that being fully formed. Hence why kids make dumb fucking decisions. Well, so do adults, but kids a lot more of the time. And it's an important part of learning, right? These young children need to learn right from wrong, what's risky behavior, all that shit. It's all about molding them for adulthood so they can live long enough to procreate, and that's the whole point of fucking humans living, right? But those teenage years are a time where we don't really know what we want. We don't know at all. We're scared about the future, we're desperate for answers, and we want quick fixes. Imagine if you could tell a teenager though, who is struggling in life, that they have one thing wrong with them, that if they changed, everything would be okay. I guarantee most of them would take that option if you could tell them what it was and explain how easy it is. And particularly if it's culturally accepted, they would take that 95% of the time. And that is why, even though I get enormous amounts of hate for it, and people cracking the shits, I do believe, and I will stand by this, that no child between the ages of 0 to 18 should be allowed to transition and change genders medically. You know, do whatever you want, wear whatever you want, be whoever you want. But I think those decisions are and should be reserved for adults. People who can weigh up every single thing that will be a benefit and a negative. It really terrifies me that this giant decision, one of the biggest decisions these people will make in their entire lives, whether it'll change gender or not, it is frowned upon if you even question it. That is crazy. That is madness. It's not even just frowned upon if I question it. It's frowned upon if doctors question it. That is where the issue really lies. In saying all of this, I understand that this change in someone's life makes them feel better. We all want to feel better, right? That's the whole point of people living their lives and changing things and going to the gym and being happier and healthy, all that shit. We all want to feel better in our lives, but I just think that this option, that this decision is not the best one. It's just not. It's just a fucking massive change. It's a massive change. These people who are mad, who complain, who bitch about me on the internet, do not understand what happens when a child is medically intervened with and they change their hormones, they change, if you're female, you start having testosterone, if you're male, you start having estrogen. They do not understand what that does to the body, to the brain, to the endocrine system. They have no clue. They just know that in society they're supposed to say, yes, that's great, that's fine, let's fucking champion it. Sorry, but sometimes in life you've got to have balls to fucking speak your mind. There are many people that benefit from transgender surgery or treatment, but this is not what this video is about. This video is about the people who have regretted it, who have gone through it, changed, and said to themselves, what am I doing? This is not what I wanted. Somehow the internet has convinced me that this is what I wanted, and in no way, shape or form is this what I wanted. It didn't fix the problems I had. You on the internet, the person I was watching, convinced me that I had a giant issue and I needed to change everything about my life, and now my body is in ruins. That's what this video is about. There are many people that months and years later realize they've made a mistake, but you're not allowed to talk about that. 60 Minutes found that out. In America, they were slammed for reporting a story on transition regret. People went hard after them just because they reported the stories of these people who were feeling this way. The story itself had a few examples of people who had lived experiences in this realm and regretted it, and yet people went out and attacked them for it. The mainstream point of view is that no one will ever regret this and they will live happily ever after, and that is just not the case. It's not the case for anything in life. If you want to have a bigger dick, if you want to have bigger boobs, a lot of people regret those decisions when they have the surgery or have that, I don't know, they buy the dick shit pills online and they steal your credit card information. People regret things. And what are people like 60 Minutes supposed to do? Not talk about it? When someone reaches out and say, listen, I really regret what I did. I think other people need to hear this story. What do they say? No, we can't do that because that's wrong think. Fuck off. It's not just 60 Minutes. It's all over the joint. And this is the story that inspired this video. It's from The Age. Absolutely devastating. Woman sues psychiatrist over gender transition. The first time Sydney woman Jay Langadinos saw psychiatrist Dr. Patrick Toohey, she was 19, living at home and identifying as a male. So this a 19-year-old male goes to a psychologist. It was May 2010. Langadinos wanted to start on masculizing hormones. I would assume that's testosterone. And her endocrinologist had referred her to Toohey to assess if she was suitable for treatment. This was quite some time ago. This is over a decade ago, 12 years, right? And I imagine the decisions that were made or what inspired those decisions to be made happened a few years beforehand. So we're talking 15 years here. Now, since that time, I know this is a fucking, don't ever say this, and don't you ever say this, but it has become increasingly popular to be non-binary or trans, okay? Let that sink in for a little bit. It certainly has. It's been so popular, in fact, it's even swapped the exact people who gender dysphoria affects. 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, it only really affected 3 to 5-year-old boys. Now, it almost entirely affects, 90% of the time, affects people who are female and in their teenage years. Why has that happened? I blame the internet, but hey, what the fuck would I know? I'm a cis white piece of shit. It seemed likely that Langadinos had true gender dysphoria, which I would like to just point out. Absolutely, I agree that is a real thing. And transgender people and people who seek out that treatment, it can really change their life for the better. This is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that there's another side of the fucking story, all right? Chill out. But she was very young and clearly needed thorough psychiatric workup before embarking on hormone treatment. And I think that should happen every single time. Maybe it does, I don't know. I know in certain parts of America, you can just walk into a psychiatrist's office and they can give you testosterone, they can give you any sort of hormone changing drug. Whether it's estrogen or a blocker, they can just give it to you that day. You can walk out with it. Toohey agreed that Langadinos suffered from gender dysphoria and the treatment began. And this is a 19-year-old girl at this point, and that's an adult. All the power to him. Langadinos saw Toohey a second time in February 2012. Now she was eager to have her breasts surgically removed. Toohey allegedly found no contradiction for her to undergo bilateral mastectomy. She had the operation in April. The following month, Langadinos was back again, this time to discuss her wish to remove her womb. Again, Toohey reported he could not see any psychiatric contradiction to proceeding with hysterectomy as part of gender transition. Langadinos underwent the surgery in November, less than 7 months after her mastectomy. She was 22. Within 3 years of being diagnosed with gender dysphoria, this young laid man, hang on. Okay, so this is the reason they're calling her she in this story and getting away with it is because she's detransitioned. But at this point, it's a he. All right, good. He was 22 at this point. So within 3 years, he has basically said, hey, remove my breasts, remove my womb, and completely change my body. Pump me full of a hormone that shouldn't be in my body. I know that's a crazy thing to say, don't cancel, or cancel me, I don't give a fuck. But that's what's happening right here. Once again, it's her decision, his decision, all cool, whatever. But this is where the story changes its trajectory from the normal happily ever after to not so much. Langadinos, now 31 and no longer identifying as male, is suing Toohey for professional negligence. And this is the worry that I have with children making these decisions. Langadinos was not a child, but still made a decision that they later regretted. Imagine making this decision at 12 fucking years old. Do you see the issue with it? And even the parents. A lot of parents would be pushed into making these decisions for their kid because otherwise they'll be labelled as a transphobe. They might lose their job, they might lose their children. Who the fuck knows? England's National Health Service, the NHS, announced it was closing the UK's only children's gender service at London's Tavistock Clinic after preliminary findings from an independent review headed by eminent pediatrician Dr. Hilary Cass found that doctors felt pressured to adopt an unquestioning approach to young patients, especially children. An unquestioning approach to young children when they came to come and talk about changing the gender by pumping themselves full of fucking hormones and cutting things off. Come on. How is that appropriate? Doctors are feeling the pressure to give drugs, to cut things off, right? Couple that with the huge spike in numbers of young children, teenagers, feeling like they are gender dysphoric, and you have a recipe for fucking disaster. She told The Age in the Sydney Morning Herald, knowing that I can't have children is absolutely devastating. That is Langdonitis. And I guess the general feeling here behind this case is that Tui should have been more professional, stopping Langdonitis from being allowed to do these surgeries, even though Langdonitis was an adult. So I think you do have to definitely cop it on the chin a little bit as the adult here making these decisions. But whether or not Tui was at fault or felt pressured or what, I mean, that remains to be seen. Solicitor Anna Kerr of New South Wales Feminist Legal Clinic, she sounds like fun, who referred Langdonitis' case to legal firm Slater and Gordon, believes legal action is likely to be the tip of the iceberg, and I think that is probably a pretty appropriate statement to make. Historically, studies have suggested a very low regret rates for people who transition, about 1%. That's interesting. How old is that study? Like, are we talking in the 2010s? Because if it's in the 2010s, it would be very interesting to see that this giant spike in transitioning youth hasn't happened yet, and maybe these people are doing it just because it's a popular thing to do. Back in the day, people were doing it because they genuinely felt that way. That remains to be seen as well. Now, some experts are uncertain if these studies are relevant to the much larger cohort of young people presenting with gender issues today, of which 2/3 are females in their teens. I said that earlier. Many have existing mental health conditions. Oh my God, Anna Kerr? You just fucking got yourself cancelled, babe. Saying things like that, that's dangerous. But that's from a feminist lawyer saying that. That's a lawyer, all right? Not just this idiot. But at least Langdonitis was 19 years old, was an adult. But here's where it gets fucking gross. When Chloe was 12 years old, she decided she was transgender. At 13, she came out to her parents that same year. She was put on puberty blockers and prescribed testosterone. At 15, she underwent a double mastectomy. 15 fucking years old. Less than a year later, she realized she made a mistake, all by the time she was 16. So she cut her fucking, that's the most insane paragraph I've ever read. A doctor, someone who's supposed to help people, cut off this little girl's breasts, all in the name of what? She decided she was a boy. Fuck you to the moon, whoever you are, mate. Like, puberty blockers are bad enough, it fucks with your body. But a double mastectomy, Jesus Christ. It's a baby, that's someone's... And this is something that's going to happen more and more. There are so many more children deciding that they need to change gender and they need to cut things off and remove things and change their hormone structure. There is a massive growth. And if you don't believe me, there is a massive growth. From 2009 to 2019, there was an increase in biological boys of 1,000% identifying as trans or having gender dysphoria, and biological girls of 4,400%. Do you not see the growth there? So do I make these numbers up? No, these come from a behavioral scientist, and you won't hear this on the regular news or on your news feed, but it does come from the New York Post. Dr. Lisa Littman, a former professor of behavioral and social sciences at Brown University, coined the term rapid onset gender dysphoria to describe this subset of transgender youth, typically biological females, who become suddenly dysphoric during or shortly after puberty. Littman believes this may be due to adolescent girls' susceptibility to peer influence on social media. So perhaps it's I know this is crazy, this is a fad. I'm not saying it's for all, but for some. Sort of like the goth fad or the cutting fad, all these type of things. It is a lot of the time just something to belong to. But in this case, it's so serious. Changing your hormone structure in your body, fucking with the endocrine system, and cutting off boobs, that's serious. This is 23-year-old Helena Kreshner. My dysphoria was definitely triggered by this online community. I never thought about my gender or had a problem with being a girl before going on Tumblr. And now with TikTok, taking up a huge portion of people's lives, and that algorithm targeting young people in whatever they want to be a part of. If they hear a video about someone transitioning and they felt so much better, then that's all they're going to watch. That's all the algorithm's going to feed them, and then maybe they will be a part of that community before. According to an online survey of detransitioners conducted by Dr. Lisa Littman last year, 40% said their gender dysphoria was caused by a mental health condition, and 62% felt medical professionals did not investigate whether trauma was a factor in their transition decisions. Another segment of this discussion, and I'll wrap this video up soon so we're not here all fucking afternoon, but another part of it is, this is for young women, how great they feel on testosterone. When they get injected with their first testosterone injection or they put the patch on, they feel in the first couple of weeks, they feel amazing. They feel great. Like this is the benefit from being on testosterone. They find that their anxiety drops, their depression drops, their mood stabilizes, and this is all issues that young women face, no doubt. So they feel so much better. They go, I finally found the answer. But what happens sooner rather than later is their body catches up, it learns how to sort of deal with the testosterone, it becomes normal, the levels fucking, I'm not a fucking doctor, they level out, the levels level, and they go back to feeling the same way they were before they went on it. And they realize, oh fuck, maybe I've done something wrong here, but it's too late. Their whole body's fucked. Their period stopped, maybe they can't have children anymore. So this is the risk. This is the risk that we talk about that we're not allowed to talk about. Transitioners are getting younger and hastier. Puberty blockers are commonly administered at the first sign of development to children as young as 9, according to World Professional Association for Transgender Health. Testosterone and estrogen injections are frequently prescribed at 13 or 14, despite Endocrine Society's recommendation of 16. And serious surgeries like mastectomies are sometimes performed on children as young as 13. All I'm saying in this video is please fucking wait. Please wait. You need to wait and see, or please wait for your child to see. It's certainly going to be very interesting to see what happens for the litigation world over the next 2 decades with cases like this. But ladies and gentlemen, be a good motherfucker. Peace, the Middle East, mid extinct. Toodaloo, au revoir, bye-bye.